Today we are distinct pleasure of hearing from Becca Dernberger, the Vice President and General Manager of Manpower's Northeast Division. In her role, Becca oversees all the aspects of more than 70 branches of the Northeast Division and is recognized as an expert in workforce issues. In particular, Becca's passionate about the manufacturing and skilled trade sectors, so we're very fortunate to have her here with us today. I'm sure you're going to hear some very interesting thoughts. So please join me in welcoming Becca Dernberger.
Good morning. Thank you, Alan. I am just thrilled to be here today. I've attended many breakfasts over the 30 years that I've been with Manpower, but I tell you, the attendance here, the energy, the engagement is just over the top. So congratulations on having such an awesome community that draws so many people who want to be part of the solution. So as Alan said, my talk today is really going to talk about workforce trends, what we're seeing globally, and what some of the tactical solutions are that I certainly see locally in the division that I'm responsible for. So this slide really talks to Manpower. Some of you think of Manpower as the local Manpower office, but I share this just briefly to show we've been in business for 65 years. We're a $20 billion company. We're in 80 countries, and every day we have over 600,000 people working. So the topic of talent is huge for us. That is our product, and we're very passionate about making sure that we find some solutions. So the agenda today, we're going to start off pretty broad, talk about the landscape, talk about the human age, which is the phrase that has been coined as this interesting time of finding talent, and then we'll get into more tactical solutions and share some of the best practices. So the good news is, as I was preparing for this talk, the December job report came out, and I'm sure all of you are aware of that, but the U.S. economy is very strong, and more jobs have been added this year than in any year since 1999. So in December, 250,000 jobs were added, and we're certainly seeing that. Oftentimes, the temporary help industry is the leading indicator of the economy, and we last year really saw some significant growth when it comes to companies hiring first the temporary employee and then hiring them full-time. So talent is the key driver of any business and finding the right talent. And this slide is very busy, very chaotic, but it's probably how often many of our brains think all day long when it comes to running a business today. And what we have coined as the human age is that, because it is so significant, our CEO coined that in the World Economic Forum in 2011, simply because just like the technical revolution, the industrial revolution, this is the human age, and we're going to take a deeper dive into this. But at the root of this, and when you really peel back the onion, and as business people, I'm sure you see that, we as leaders need quicker results, and we as leaders really need faster time to value, whether it's the people that we hire or the products we put into place, or whether it is the processes that we put in our place. And the global economy is driving a lot of that. So quicker time to value is kind of the end game that we're getting at when we look to hire talent. So through the years of tracking macroeconomic forces, Manpower identified 4 trends: the talent, overall demographics and talent shortage, the individual choice, technological revolutions, and rise of customer sophistication. So those are the 4 trends when you start big and then go down to tactical solutions. And we're going to touch real quickly on each one of these trends. So just for my own curiosity, a quick exercise here. How many of you are looking for people? How many of you are hiring in the hiring mode? That's good. Good. And that's a strong, I mean, when you look at the great results that were put out, 78% of employers in this market are expecting to maintain or add headcount. So that's very strong. So the demand is increasing and the supply of the right talent is reducing. And one of the shifts within that is it's just taking longer for employers to make a decision. When you have an open position, it takes up to 25 days to fill that position. And part of it is when a company makes the decision, those of you who raised your hands, when you make the decision that you're ready to hire individuals, you want it to be the best talent because it's, number one, costing you money and you're making an investment in that person. And again, you need a quick return on that. So when you look at the population that is out there and that are looking for work, it's hard skills and it's soft skills. These are some of the top reasons why employers reject a candidate. And when I looked at this list, I was a bit optimistic because so much of this is coachable and so much of this are things that we can train individuals. And we're going to talk more about that in a little bit, but it's also making sure that the upcoming workforce, the schools, the educators are preparing both the hard skills and the soft skills as well as, just home life and parents and people really understanding. To shed a little bit more light on the talent mismatch problem, let me tell you a little bit about the Manpower Talent Shortage Survey. We've been conducting this survey for 9 years, and we ask employers what is the most difficult job of finding workers, and then we come up with the top hardest jobs to fill. And what's interesting about this slide, and hopefully everybody can see that in the back, skilled trades is number one. And these 10 have not changed too much in the last, 10 years or so that we've been doing this. So what that tells us is, number one, employers really aren't changing their approach to hiring these folks to shift to attain the in-demand skills, and that employees aren't upskilling and getting ready for these jobs. So this is a huge opportunity, and something that we really work on making sure that we've got opportunity and training in place to meet this gap. So individual choice was the next trend, and individual choice is really interesting. If you have, well, I'm sure many of you have either know of a teen or an early 20-ish kind of individual. It's a different demographic that's coming into the workforce. Their work-life balance is very important to them. They're frugal. The frugal is in, which is kind of exciting. But I know when I graduated from college, it was how quick can I get a house? How quick can I get a car? We're not seeing that so much with this next generation, which is good. But that also says that they have a choice. If they've got the right skill set, they can choose to opt in and out of different roles or opt in and out of leaving a company and going on to another one that may be a little bit more fulfilling. And what's interesting is where we're finding talent right now. I mean, obviously word of mouth, I think, is still a very, very prominent way. But recent surveys done by JobFight, 79% of recruiters found candidates through LinkedIn, 26% through Facebook, and 14% through Twitter. So even how we go about finding these folks has changed a lot. And as employers, we need to make sure that we're tapping into those resources. The next trend is technology. Again, technology shapes and defines how the work is done, where the work is done, and this information is more abundant than ever and creates greater transparency too. So again, to the technology connection to the workforce, job seekers looking for more than just salary, they're also looking for a culture. And that's very important because part of this is us as employers, we have to own some of this. So the company culture, what kind of mission do you have? What is your vision? Job seekers visit career websites such as Glassdoor and Vault, which is where companies are reviewed by the general population. So might want to check that out. And it also says a lot about the next generation of worker and the transparency. So technology, again, not to over talk about that, but it's really changing how we go about finding workers and how the workers go about finding the employer that they want to work for. And then the last trend is the rise of customer sophistication. Again, technology and constant access to communication have provided unprecedented information to customers. Excuse me. And so we just have a lot more visibility, and we're held accountable as employers to make sure that what's being put out there is something that we want put out there. Sorry, and one of the examples that I loved with the customer sophistication, we were recently at Disney, and there is an app called Undercover Tourist, and on that app, as we were going around the park, you could literally see how long the lines were and which ride to go to next. I mean, again, the customer sophistication in that simple app just shows how the world is changing. So with that, that was a quick overview of the trends and what's behind the human age, and there are many, many moving parts. Now as we really deepen that and take it to the next level, which is talent, and how do we not only have talent, but have talent in our communities to attract companies to come to our communities, I think one of the most important things is knowledge to the candidates about access to opportunity. There's been a huge divide, and that bifurcation of the haves and the have-nots really is growing. And as I look at all of the information and talk about all of the data that I'm presenting today, that understanding the access to opportunity, and not only for jobs, but also for education, for training. So much of our population don't have the same opportunities to a vision of what is out there. So I think as a community, that's something that we can really dive into. And also when you look at the unemployment rates, overall 5.6% in the U.S., but when you peel that back a little bit, so overall 5.6, if you have high school or below, it's 8.6% unemployment. Some college is 5% unemployment. A college grad is about 3%. Oh, thank you. 3% unemployment. So that really says that, again, access to education, access to opportunity is really something that we want to make sure that our kids are aware of. And the other area when it comes to opportunity is the whole skilled trades and advanced manufacturing. I don't have a lot of that in my presentation today, but that's such a misunderstood opportunity, and I'll share this with you. Don't tell anybody, but my daughter, who went to 4-year degrees, has a great job. But my nephew, who did not go to college, went right into the military, is making 3 times more than her in a skilled trades position that is just an incredible opportunity for him, but it's skilled trades, and there is such a high demand for that. So again, that was just something that to me brings it home, that we can't underestimate manufacturing, advanced manufacturing, and really helping these kids that maybe aren't college bound but have some awesome skills. We've got to make sure that they understand the jobs and the salaries that are available to them, because it's really, really exciting when you think of that. So if I had to sum up what I've just said in one slide, it would be this slide. So when you look at the 3 buckets, we've got a skills mismatch going on, oversupply of people with the right skill, undersupply of people with the highly skilled. We can often have a lobby full of people in our office, and 200 jobs that we're trying to fill, but there's that mismatch that goes on. So and then the shift in job security and skill security. So even though you have a job, you can't level set on your skills. You've got to constantly be going to that next level, because again, that first slide with all the crazy words and the chaotic, just constant pushing an evolution, whether it's technology or systems or processes. So it's that continual lifelong learning that is symbolic on that far left slide there. And then the unbalanced ecosystem that in talking to many of you since I've been here, you guys are really on top of that, which is exciting, because business is global, government is local, and talent is mobile. If you can wrap your head around that as a community and this great organization that is leading all of you guys on some pretty cool, innovative things, those are the 3 wheels that are really impactful. So with that in mind, leaders really have to view talent strategy with an economic or an economist mindset, and that really is looking at the demand that companies and products and services are trying to get to, and then the demand of talent, and making sure that the talent is aligned with the business strategy, not only where that business is today, but where that business is going tomorrow, and making sure that there's the balance of the skilled talent, that there's data, and I mean, data is another whole conversation, and big data and analyzing the data. I think that's going to be a great career for an up-and-coming career, because we have so much access to data, but companies don't really know what to do with it. But for this example, it's really important to understand the internal and external talent and understand where the company is going and how you build that business objectives and your workforce strategy. And then if there is a gap, making sure that there's attention to that misalignment. And this is something that I don't think as companies we really understand the depth and breadth that we have to get to when it comes to matching where we're going as a company with the talent. Okay, so this, now we're kind of moving into more of the solutions, but it's really looking at talent and then conversations about attracting the right talent or moving up within the organization. When I started with Manpower, we were talking to HR people, we were talking to supervisors. Now we're talking to the owners of the company, we're talking to the CEOs of the company, because they want to, they understand the importance of talent, and when there's a shortage and becomes almost a crisis in some companies, you really have to elevate that conversation. And I'll share a story. The company that we were working with really struggled this year to find people a lot. I mean, they were shutting, over the course of the summer, they had to shut their lines down 45 times because they simply could not find the right talent. And as horrible of a situation that was, it shed light on what do we need to do to get talent, and then some really innovative, great solutions were put into place to make sure that we're addressing those issues. So again, really taking a deep dive and asking some of the questions, that you've got a strong work model, you've got a strong people process, and that you're really looking at those talent resources. So now, to get into a little bit more tactical solutions, and tell me if I cross over my 20 minutes. 4 minutes? Okay. Okay, so we'll go really fast here. So this is the slide that either, it takes 18 years to grow people, right? So we either need to increase the talent that is out there, or broaden the net in looking for people, or upskill the people that we've got. So this is simply a slide showing that the solutions are all of those individual parties. So this really talks about to the teachable fit, making sure that you've got the teachable fit when it comes to understanding your business model and developing that. So I'm going to skip over some of these slides. This slide really talks to the long-term unemployed, and I was a part of the White House webinar, actually, which was a huge honor to be a part of that, and they talked about putting a plan together for these long-term unemployed, because these folks, I think, have a reputation, especially when the economy started coming back, of really being overlooked. And one of the things that this slide showed me is this is a great opportunity for some folks. And there's a company, Frontier Communications, that rather than having the resume be the first point of contact, they're doing digital video interviews, which I thought was a very strong message to make sure that we aren't just looking at that resume and making judgments on that resume, but we're looking at the individual, their ability to communicate, and how well would they troubleshoot and problem solve. And the other best practice that I see out there is something called EverFi, and this is a firm that it's leading education and technology company that does teaching and assessing to certify students. And I work closely with the Manufacturing Institute, and I sit on the board of Manufacturing Institute, and they don't endorse a lot of different companies, but they endorse this one. And what I think is really cool about EverFi is that they come into a community, they look at not only the current employers, but the types of employers that a community communities, trying to bring in, and then they build an education model that starts with, you know, grade school basically, and make sure that those skill sets are being trained within the company, and it meets all of the education requirements and you know, meets the math and the reading and all of those requirements. So it's just I think just kind of an innovative thing. And then the other solution is really increasing the net of candidates. We certainly have conversations with employers. How do we get more people into our door? You know, it's the veterans, it's looking at individual with criminal records. Those conversations are on the table, looking at the background checks, and not that we want, you know, people on drugs that have been in jail in all of our employers, but why do we have those systems in place? And are we really cutting a supply of individuals that could be going into work? And then the employability skills, just great programs on mentorships, internships. I know there's various companies that partner with the schools to bring not only high school, college kids, but grade school and middle school kids into the workplace so they can see the types of jobs that are done in the community. So anything around internships and mentorships are really, really strong. So I end the presentation with the same slide that I started. There is just it's easy to say these are the things you need to do. It's a little bit harder to do, but it's really understanding the business climate, understanding the gaps in talent, and then building sustainable programs that address those gaps. So I think, and then these are some final thoughts, just again highlighting some of the things that we talked about. Great. Thank you very much.